Keep in touch. Hey, are you coming down tonight? 9711-3210. I have no idea who this person is other than the group header of Hillcrest Reunion. Flower emoji, star, star, star. Right. I haven't touched my third phone in a while. This person, Shu Xian. She has been dancing in shopping malls as a cartoon character. Artist, yes. I don't like class reunions because I already know what everyone is doing and how they're getting on. Gossip to me is delayed intel clumsily spread via word of mouth. You see, a JC reunion is nothing more than an informal CV presentation. You project an image of yourself and sneak in your accomplishments over the past few years in thoughtful conversations. Of course, one must always remember to deflect attention from oneself with tidbits of current affairs and feel-good statements like, wow, I love your shoes, and who had an amazing wedding reception in a luxury yacht? These people think they have such happy lives, but do they really? Verlaine Chong, Hillcrest Junior College, class of 1987. She broke up with a girlfriend of 7 years and married a man after dating for just 11 months. Last year, she got a promotion as Director of Accounts in Webb & Shandy. The firm deals with many corporate clients from the government sector. At the last JC reunion, we shared a hug and she seemed so happy, but I knew she was happy with her former lover. Verlaine, do you remember when we were 17? I braided you a friendship band in blue and pink, and you tied it round the zipper of your pencil case. At 18, you called me a power-hungry bitch in front of the entire cohort during our student council elections. You were suspended, I was elected, and we never spoke again for many years. I don't believe in holding grudges, but it made my decision that much easier when the party considered recruiting her into its ranks. Please keep whatever I told you to yourself, she once told me. I promise, your secret is safe with me. Verlaine didn't get recruited. She didn't do very well in a company with such strong links to the government either, and I wouldn't see her again. She made it very clear she'd rather spend time outside my company. I don't blame you for being angry with me, Verlaine. At the last reunion, she said, Dolly, how have you been? It's Jane. I've changed my name. I give her a hug I don't mean. How's everything? Good. I smile. Is there someone special? No, I think I'm quite happy for now. Just a nod would suffice this time. Why are you so uptight? She said. I am not uptight. I'm sorry if my life means more than brunches at country clubs or parading my husband down Orchard Road for shopping sprees. I'm sorry I'm not a good enough friend. I'm sorry for not being present all these years or living in the moment, but I am not sorry for the person I am today. I'm sorry. I type on my phone. I can't make it tonight. Keep in touch.
Sophie is such a special character.
I remember I panicked at the first meeting because we were told to introduce our own characters, and then the character that, because we're supposed to go back and then write our own backstories, and then my backstory was the only one that has little to zero politics in it. So I told Dr. Loon that my character is very different from all the other characters, and then he said, that's okay. So I was like, okay, that's okay. So I don't know when the modern dusting came in.
Yes.
So initially it wasn't part of the plan, but I think it sort of made it even more. Dr. Loon added a lot of elements, like she doesn't have a phone, and she's a dancer, and she's come from home, and she was really a very fourth dimensional character that in a way she could do whatever she wanted and get away with it. So it was a very I felt like I was more of the wild card than
Yes.
Derek was.
Yes.
Like, I was like a fresh slate that
Yeah, I think she's just the source of the unwitting comedy because Sophie is not of this world.
on a different plane.
And then she's suddenly thrust into this world and she just says the most bizarre things and everybody has to respond to her.
And they try
very hard to like, and then she just misses the mark. But because she is so genuine, people don't think that, don't try to lock her up and put her in a straitjacket.
First day of work as Jane's PA. I've known Minister Jane even before she became minister. The first time she campaigned in my GRC, I helped her as a volunteer. Now I was still an undergraduate then, and I really wanted to, work the ground, know the campaigning and electoral processes. Since I was all set for the civil and public service, might as well, right? The second time she campaigned in my GRC, I emailed her representative, asking if I could reprise my role as a volunteer. Her representative replied me with an unexpected proposal. We would like to hire you as a personal assistant to candidate Jane. Would you be available? The campaigning period is between 2. You would be required to be with her right up till election day on. Please revert back to us ASAP. The campaigning and election period were right smack in the middle of my summer break that year. The amount proposed to me in return for my services was also very decent. There was no reason for me to decline. So, I dressed myself up for my first day of work. Tight, body-hugging G2000 white shirt with a little floral flare in my inner collar. Black, butt-hugging dress pants from Zara. Black leather-laced dress shoes from Pedro. And a pinch of Tom Ford's Black Orchid applied on my neck and wrist. I felt excited and ready for my job. What would she have me do? Carry her flyers while she walks around the campaigning GRC? Organize and keep tabs on where her next campaigning venues are? Whatever it is, I felt that I was all up and ready. When I got to the venue, an old estate, I realized that I was severely overdressed. Everyone was dressed down, even candidate Jane. She was wearing her white polo shirt, bearing the blue and red logo of the party she was representing. Albert, you are just in time. I smiled awkwardly at candidate Jane. Am I overdressed? She peered at me with this almost condescending look. Don't worry. You'll be just fine. Though I do think that inner collar is a little bit too much. Sorry, I'll dress down tomorrow. Well, at least you are wearing white and not blue or red. Let's start. And with that, she got one of the members in the entourage to pass me a placard with candidate Jane's photo and a box checked with an X. I also hang that on my neck and walk with her. I should have dressed down. My sweat was soaking through my shirt as the day rolled on. Finally, it was lunch. I took off the placard and ate one of the packed lunches distributed around. Everything all right? She came over and talked to me personally. Yes, no. She stared at me for a while, glanced at me from head to toe, and her gaze finally settled on my chest. My sweat had rendered my shirt translucent. The outline, the shape, and the details of my chest can be seen, as though I was naked, including my brown nipples. Sorry, I should have dressed down. I tried to fold my arms in an attempt to cover the exposed bits. It's okay. She turned around and walked off. When the second half of the day began, I walked towards where I left the placard. Someone else was donning it. Candidate Jane, the placard. Oh no, Albert. You won't be donning the placard anymore. We need to put your talent to better use. Walk next to me and carry these flyers. What? Okay. In the second half, she had me follow her rather extensively. For some reason, she treated me with much more warmth than before. More smiles, more Albert, would you please be a dear and pass them the campaign flyers? More, this is my personal assistant, Albert. He is currently doing a joint degree program at a local and an overseas university. And this is Albert. You might have seen him on TV. He's my personal assistant. I didn't get the picture until much later when we were at a local marketplace distributing flyers. The sun had cooled slightly, but I was still badly soaked. Albert, I will not have time to cover that area. Please, help me cover it. I'm sure you wouldn't be needing any help. Get them to vote for me. I looked at her. She smiled at me knowingly, looked at my semi-exposed chest and walked away. Now, that area in question is famous for its saunas. And with saunas come cruising. And with cruising comes men of all shapes and sizes with their eyes wide open looking for a wonderful time. What a cunning and clever woman. If I was ever doubtful of her capabilities as an elected member of the parliament, that doubt was, in that moment, completely obliterated. That night, moments before I went to bed, I received a text from a representative. Wear white shirt tomorrow. Please bring extras.
So the first scene is really we just play the comedy. Yeah, that was the easiest thing to do. Then subsequently, I decided that for us to get into the character itself, I gave them 6 to 8 scenarios for them to choose from. So they write a monologue, and some of these monologues are really good. They clarify the characters, and then after that, after they read it out for everybody else to hear, so everybody who is writing that scene also know where the character is at. So it's the same. You have at an improv level or device level, you have the actor level and the character level. So here we have the writer level and also the character level. So the writer must know everything, but the character doesn't have to. Yeah. So this that kind of process. So the some of the monologues are really good, really beautifully written. I wish, and some of it actually went into the text. Some of it was very good. Jane had a monologue where she was really good about a character called Elaine, and it just went into the text because it was so good. Yeah, so I think then that is one of the things that really works about the process.
Tea session. There was a closed-door tea session with the Prime Minister once at the IPC. There was a lot of preparations the day before. Anyone who isn't a director had to do a little cleaning up of the premises. I have to say, for a public organisation, we weren't exactly very organised in the strictest sense. We cleaned up the premises in a systemised manner. I would clean the director's office while my assistants would clean up my office, while their respective interns would clean up their respective cubicles and the pantry as well. It was the first time in a long while since I actually got to see the entire structure of the IPC at work. There was a small sense of pride you could feel when you imagined the entire process of the day. The Prime Minister was scheduled to come over at 3:35 in the afternoon, right around the time his personal secretary noted that he expects tea to be served. While I personally preferred coffee for energy, it seems that the Prime Minister did seem to have a liking to tea after all, preferably of regional highlands variety, with not too much sugar and not too small a cup. Mr. Prime Minister entered the IPC premises with his black car a little past 3:23 that afternoon. Director and I were both waiting in the lobby for Mr. Prime Minister to make his grand entrance. Strangely for a public servant, he had a certain slowness in his footsteps. It felt almost like reluctance. I was already growing impatient, but it's impossible to show anything but a passive sort of optimism around the place, which we are always told to bring out in our posture. PM decided to take a photo of our sordidly boring architecture. I was thinking that it was going to be a long day ahead. PM finally decided to enter the premises of the building at about 3:26, when he finally decided to stop his little banter with the security guard. That was when it struck me. The secret behind the languid and almost vulgar serenity in the smile of his was that his glance communicated his entire power effectively. He surveyed his surroundings with an insidious smile, giving a compliment or two to the tidiness of the premises. The director and I, we shook his hands. And that was when I noticed the second trait of power he had. His stature and grip promised his total control over the situation. He was not out to crush. He was out to grip every tenet of this place and mold it into whatever fashion he so desired. My height was comparable to his, and whilst I suffered a little under his grip, I responded with an equal amount of strength I so calculated. There was an instant of recognition. There was a slight frown in his face, though his public image smile still remained. We looked at each other squarely in the eye. I was suddenly conscious of the handkerchief that padded my chest pocket. I silently critiqued his light pink shirt. And he spoke first. And your name? VIKRAM Murugaya, Deputy Director, IPC, sir.
We don't even have our first draft actually. We don't, because there are still parts, some of the scenes we set out, so we've gone through all the scenes from 1 to 1 to 10.
1 to 10.
And then we got the idea for scene 11, which we decided, because we don't have time to write it actually. So we told certain characters to, because we envisioned it as part, like we saw the scene and it was going to be a monologue. And then there were two characters, Chang and Deputy, that were not going to be the monologue. So we just sent everybody else to monologues to do it.
Oh my god, so you guys have to go monologues now? Oh my god! And I asked you yesterday, are you done with the monologue? Yeah, I'll be done.
It doesn't make sense.
You
but
lied
doesn't
to
make
me.
sense. Neither Chiang nor the deputy would go to it.
I'm done with. Okay, that is besides the point. I'm talking about the process here.
I'm so cheated now.
But yeah, of course we planned it that way.
Okay.
What about the process? So really, we haven't even managed to give a first edit through, because some of the parts are not even written. So like we've planned, like for example, scene 10, it's supposed to from A to B to C to D.
Yep.
We only A to B, B to C, C to D hasn't even happened
Yep.
yet. So we
Yeah.
probably have to go back, either write it and have some of the writers go look at it again, or we'll just edit it.
Going Virgin with you, for you. There's no excuse why I haven't gotten a ticket to go on Virgin Galactic, except that I don't want to be seen as an unreasonable spendthrift. You know, balancing popularity and likability. I've built my image of being a rather generous philanthropist through the years, and if I were to give that $250,000 directly to Sir Richard Branson, all those efforts would have gone down to waste. So, here's the plan. I am going to be the country's first representative, as decided by a straw poll among academics and politicians and businessmen, to be the best person to go on board the spaceship whenever it is ready. And one of the organizations that I represent, I haven't quite decided if it's one of the businesses or one of the statutory boards, or I'll have to discuss this with the others first. We will kickstart a campaign, a crowdfunding campaign to get people's support and monetary contribution, so that the country can have someone to send to space. You see, it really isn't about the money, but more of people's support, people's viewpoints on how things are done. Ashton Kutcher, Katy Perry, Brangelina, they are all already on the list. To be on par with them, it's not quite right personally. I am not a celebrity, and I do not do things for fame. I prefer to enjoy the things I do, and at the same time, contribute back to society. Those years back when I was struggling within the ministries and statutory boards and whatnots, possibly those were the times when recognition and perhaps fame was considerably more important. But today, I have humbly been able to climb up to where I am by the sheer constant effort that I put into everything I do, building up a bit of reputation for myself. Today, I seek recognition, but very differently. I prefer to be recognized not for the outstanding things I do for the economy or for recognition of myself as a personality, but rather to be a representative of the people around me, who have always been there for me, encouraging me. You know, you never will know when the spaceship will finally take off, but I believe that now is the time to start. Now, where should I start this campaign? Who should I look for? Which organization will be the most suitable? Which of the businesses should I call